last video, where we left off was doing this problem by hand. And recall, we got 3/8 doing all of this messy work that I suspect for some of you was quite intimidating. So let's do this problem in Desmos now. Note that I'm typing in desmos.com, and it gets us to this graphing page. Here's Desmos here again. I'm going to open this graphing calculator. We really don't need the graphing calculator for what we're doing, but you're going to find out later that we're going to use this graphing calculator a lot in Unit 2. So I'm just going to type in 37 and then 1 divided by 2. Now notice that's a problem. This isn't what we wanted, right? So I'm going to type in the fraction first, so 1 divided by 2, and then I'm going to type in the 37 in the front. So there it is. And then if you notice, there's this little button here, and that turns it into a fraction. So there it is, 75 halves. Now recall, we were working with 37 and 1/2%. So this 75 halves is what I had shown you before when we converted that 37 and 1/2 into an improper fraction. So I'm just going to select this thing. I'm going to hit divide and then type in 100, and there's our answer, 3/8. And that's it. So much faster than all this by hand work. And sometimes I'm a little torn about what I think here. Is it important for you to know how to do this by hand? Honestly, for most of us in our lives, since we have calculators, as long as you know how to type it in the calculator, you're good. Even in grad school, boy, I did not do a whole lot of converting fractions into decimals and etc. By hand, although it's just, there is something to be said to have this knowledge. I think it is helpful. Okay, so when you're working with this, all that matters to me is that you're able to take this and turn it into this. And really, even that's not all that important, because what's most important is being able to take this 37 and 1/2 and turn it into a decimal. So how do we do that? Well, I would write that 37 and 1/2 is 37.5%, and then I would do my whole divided by 100 to remove that percent symbol. And to do this division in my head, I would just move the decimal place 2 places to the left, and I get 0.375 or 0.375. That's the decimal equivalent of that fraction and of that percent. Note what that also means, since we already showed that 3/8 is equivalent to 37.5%, that the decimal version of 3 divided by 8 is 0.375. There it is, done. And that's what's most important. So number 3, I'm going to let you all do that on your own. He's just having you figure out how does the calculator spit that out in decimal form. Hopefully we're getting that. Note it's going to be 0.12 and 0.72. Moving on to page 6. Here he's asking you to fill in. Let's get to page. So on page 5, we've got, hey, can you just write these in decimal form real fast? Well, of course we can. 41%, I'll do it a little bit slower than I initially thought I was going to do, is the same thing as 41 divided by 100, which is equal to 0.41. I move that decimal place 2 places to the left. That's A. B, hey, 6.7%, doesn't matter that there's a decimal in that percentage. All we're going to do is apply the definition of this percent symbol. It means take the number, divide by 100. And then to do the division, since I know the little shortcut, move the decimal 2 places to the left. I'm going to write this as 0.067. That's the decimal version of 6.7%. Often we like to put the 0 in front. I tend to forget because it doesn't really matter. All right, and then 120%, which is a value over 100%. Again, to get rid of this or apply the definition of this percent symbol, we're just going to divide by 100. And what I'm interested in here is the decimal version, not the fraction. So I note that the decimal is here. Since there isn't one listed, I'm going to move that 2 places to the left, and I get 1.2. That's the decimal version of this percentage. So if we were to look at what he's asking you here, the opposite of moving the decimal 2 places to the left is moving the decimal 2 places to the right. The opposite of dropping the percent sign is including it, I guess. And what we're thinking about here is, what if we want to go from a decimal, 0.34, 0.07, 1.658 into a percent form? Well, what we're literally doing here is we're multiplying by 100 to include that percent sign. So if this is our decimal and we want to turn it into a percent, we're going to multiply by 100, which has the effect of moving the decimal place 2 places to the right. So that is 34%. Notice now, if we want to go backwards and we want to convert this percent back into a decimal, we would apply the definition of the percent symbol and say divide by 100, and we get our 0.34 back, just like we would expect. That's one of the beauties of mathematics. It's based on agreed upon theorems and definitions that all hold together. It's a logical thought process. All right, so similarly, if we want to convert this 0.07 into a percent, I'm going to skip the showing the multiplication by 100 and just say that's 7%. And then 1.658 turned into a percentage. We would move this decimal 2 places to the right when we multiply by 100. That's 165.8%.